Showtime.
Okay. I call the meeting of the Salem County Improvement Authority to order. It's Monday, August 28th. It's 5 p.m. and we're located in the lower level of the Finwall building. We all stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The notice of this meeting has been provided to the public in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act by publication in the South Jersey Times and the Elmer Times newspaper circulating in Salem County, and by posting notice in the Salem County Clerk's Office. Copy of the board minutes and a video of this meeting are posted on SCIA.com. I'll remind everyone that you're on camera, and I'll be available in a day or two on the internet. I've never watched it once yet. One of these days I'll watch it. Okay. Roll call, please.
John Earbert.
Here.
Pete Flores.
Here.
Bob Whitfield.
Here.
Ron Howard.
Present.
David Snyder.
Here.
Okay, you've had an opportunity to review the minutes of the July 22nd.
Motion approved. Second.
Second. Any questions or corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, we have a presentation. If you look under your tab 2, Broker Record and Risk Manager Insurance Renewal Review 2014. We have Ms. Bonnie Rick here from the Hardenberg Agency, which is our risk management firm. You go give us the Reader's Digest version.
Well, I was actually going to go through all the pages, not I'm supposed to.
Okay.
Yes, I will definitely start with the Reader's Digest. And I think I'll do the summary. And where do I have to stand? I can, okay, and I can face.
That'd be best.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, you can move that out of your way if you care.
I met with Devin Turner-Fox last Monday and reviewed all the contents that were included in here. She suggested that I give you guys just the overview of what's behind tab number 1 to give you an overview of our marketing efforts. Your property, general liability, auto liability, workers' compensation, and pollution coverage expires September 4th. We started the process in April. We went out to market. We typically do this every 3 years. And that's the reason why, because you don't want to keep going to markets every year and not switching coverage. They think that you're just using them for a quote. So that's why you don't typically do it every year. Our process was twofold. We went out to the commercial carriers, and then we also went out to self-insurers, and I'll explain that in just a second. The commercial carriers we selected was Selective, Travelers, Great American, AIG, Zurich, and XL Peerless, which is your current carriers. The reason why we selected them is that they specialize in public entities. It doesn't make sense to go out to NJM that would just do, they do your workers' comp, but we wouldn't go to them for package because they don't write public entities, and you want to go to somebody that writes them because they have the specialized endorsements and they understand your exposures. Just to let you know, we did not receive any quotes from any commercial carriers this year, and they all declined basically because of the landfill. Even though you guys run a fantastic operation, all the safeguards are in control, it did not fit any of these carriers' appetites. We're not that surprised because when we did this in prior years, it was pretty much the same feedback. However, Excel, again, they've been on the account for a number of years, they like the account, they offered a renewal quote. So then the second approach was to go to some insurers. Some of you folks may be familiar with joint insurance funds. There's one down in Salem County, it's the Gloucester, Salem, Cumberland County Joint Insurance Fund. Other joint insurance funds were Garden State Municipal and Statewide Insurance Fund, and then another self-insurer which just started October 2012 is the Salem County Insurance Commission. Right now that is just the county, and the only entities that can join that are county affiliated entities. So that would be the Improvement Authority. You qualify. Salem County College, the VOTEC would qualify, Board of Social Services, you don't have an Improvement Authority, and basically that's it. They won't allow towns to come in. So we first approached Gloucester County, or Gloucester, Salem, Cumberland County, because they've been in existence over 25 years. They had the experience. They said no because you're an improvement authority. They did not like the idea of a landfill. Again, it doesn't matter that you guys operated in accordance with the regulations and all the operating controls are in place. It did not fit their appetite, and they liked just municipalities. So then we went down and we said, okay, let's go to the Garden State Joint Insurance Fund. They are a joint insurance fund that's operated out of Woodbridge, New Jersey. They like towns that are usually over 10,000 in population. They take maybe some improvement authorities, some utilities authorities, but again, once we said that you had an active landfill, they said, no, we're not interested in writing it. We went on, another joint insurance fund is the statewide joint insurance fund that has 78 members. They do have utilities authorities. They do have an entity that has the active landfill. They do write in your neighborhood, Bridgeton and City of Salem. We submitted your underwriting information and they did supply a proposal to us. And then the last insurer, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, was the Salem County Insurance Commission. They started up and running October 2012, and we did receive a proposal from them this afternoon.
When was that? When did you receive that?
That's this afternoon. We received their final numbers. Okay. So that, and I guess maybe I'll start there. If anybody has any questions on the marketing effort of it. Okay. So then what we did was we took a look at the proposals that we received. We compared the existing proposal, your current coverages, to the statewide insurance fund, because that's the one that we had in-house back about a month or so ago. If you turn to the third exhibit, you'll actually see the coverage comparison. I also was able to, this afternoon, put down the Salem County Insurance Commissions. What we did was we highlighted the major limits, because that's at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. You want to try and compare apples to apples. Obviously, no two insurance contracts are the same, but again, you want to try and match the limits. So for the most part, what I will tell you is the statewide insurance fund and the Salem County Insurance Commission will offer significantly higher limits for the authority. I'm going to ask you to back up because this is probably the important page that everybody really wants to take a look at, and that's the premium comparison. What are we talking dollar-wise? So if everybody can just go to this exhibit, you'll see I'll start at the left-hand column. It's your effective date, your policy number, your current carrier, the coverages. We outlined a brief description of what those coverages are, brief description of the limits. We allocate for the authority, the economic division, and the solid waste division, so that's what that next category is. Then we had the expiring total cost. So last year, your total your total program was $209,000. 382. Your renewal costs with the same carriers, same limits, same deductibles, same coverages is coming in 5% higher. Deb, that number is a little bit different than what we talked about Monday because we added 2 vehicles. And being with a commercial carrier, every time you add something, they will increase the premium and issue it's called an additional premium endorsement.
So the 2% went to 5%, went up $10,000 for 2 vehicles?
Correct.
And
that's because it went up under the auto
Hold
line.
on, let's get the person.
But you eliminated vehicles, did you replace those?
We took one,
Oh,
yeah,
hold
we
on.
took a Dodge out.
Debbie, what's the question?
We eliminated vehicles in addition to
Okay,
adding
is the coverage the same? Debbie?
No. You have 2 new vehicles.
Correct.
The one that will be removed from service has yet to be removed from service. Okay? And these are 2 over the road as opposed to just on the landfill vehicles. So they will carry a bit higher premium. Plus you
Okay,
have the other-
so we're talking apples to apples,
Apples to apples.
Cadillacs to Cadillacs,
Cadillacs.
Chevys to Chevys.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
so we got that on, so we're okay there. Okay, let's go.
Okay. So that's why the premium changed a bit from what we discussed last Monday, Deb. So then I go to the renewal costs, and like you say, it says $219,127, which is a 5% increase. Statewide insurance fund is coming in at $147,000, or excuse me, $141,379,000. And the Salem County Insurance Commission, I received a phone call driving down, that number should be $157,615, not $167. They found an error in the rating. So if everybody would mark that, that will make the savings $61,512 in lieu of $51,000.
No, it was a verbal.
Yes, and we'll confirm that. Like I said, I got it as I was driving down, so I'll get that in writing
Okay.
tomorrow morning. So now, at the end of the day, the authority will be able to reduce their insurance costs significantly. Okay? Because
So our best bet is 35%. That's the best as shown here.
yes, upfront savings, yes.
You say it's the best bet. Let's talk about that for a minute. Isn't JIF an operation where you share the, if I'm in with a JIF with other people and they have a catastrophic, I'm also paying, right? All the way up to all my money plus some. I mean, it's, if I'm with another outfit, this outfit that we're with right now, you know, my exposure is X amount, and then beyond that, I can't go out of business on somebody else's landfill. But with a JIF, I can be exposed to huge amounts of
We're
money.
we're talking about assessments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
I think
Right,
that's the next.
and to answer your question, the Joint Insurance Fund and the Insurance Commission take an approach where they obtain an actuary. So they believe that every time that they strike their budget, the losses will be contained within the self-insured assessment. But you are 100% correct. On the adverse side, in the event the total losses of the entire group, not just the improvement authority, exceeds the loss fund, you can be supplementally assessed. On the other side of it, after all claims are paid and they're able to close out that year, there is a return of surplus, and there is surplus to be returned that can go back to the members.
And oftentimes, do they not, I know that we did not join one of the JIFs because they made demands upon us what we had to do to be a member.
Okay?
We gotta go down and fix the Little League ballpark, we gotta go fix the borough hall, we gotta get another entrance to the basement. You know, it was gonna cost us several $1,000
Right, to be a
to
member.
join, to save $2,000, so.
What I will tell you is that statewide joint insurance fund and Salem County Insurance Commission both do not have the requirements and the stringent requirements that a TRICO joint insurance fund, which may be the joint insurance fund that you are referring to, they do not require you to hold X amount of safety committee meetings. They do not require, I mean, they obviously want you to be safe. They're going to come down and give you training. They are going to come down and do inspections, but there's not where the executive director has to attend 5 meetings a year or you're going to be penalized, or if you don't do this,
You have to go to a meeting in North Jersey somewhere.
exactly, no, and that is the one thing with both the commission and the statewide joint insurance fund, they do not require.
So tell me about the Salem County Insurance Commission, and you said it's only been in business for about a year. I think we'd be risky to get involved with them. Is that who is involved in that?
Right now, only Salem County is a member.
Say that again?
Only
Just the
Salem County.
So the
And
county alone is.
the county alone, and Deb can share their audits. I know it's not much, but it is a 2-month worth of audit, because they are on a 12/31 fiscal year.
What's the history of the statewide JIF?
They have been pretty consistent over the past couple years. We actually didn't recommend to get a quote. I'm thinking this predated you, Deb, I think, because they did have a financial trouble where they did go out and supplementally assist their members, and it is noted in, I think, the third,
You don't have that.
it's in the comparison of the notes. And again, I have their financial statements included in here if you want to take a look at it. But for 2004 and 2005, they did have to supplementally assess their members.
What percent was that?
3% of the total assessment
So
of
in this
what you
case-
brought in. So it's a percentage, so if you paid
150
150, you paid 3%
of
of
the
what.
9,000.
Exactly,
They have an excess liability policy too, don't they?
yes.
Usually.
Yes, all the joint insurance funds, yeah. The only place that you're really going to be supplementally assessed is the layer that they retain. The insurance commission retains $250,000 and statewide retains $500,000
So they cover the first $500,000?
in the fund.
Okay,
Yeah.
so catastrophic.
And then it's catastrophic. So in this scenario, and because that was something that we played out, that yes, has TricoJet, even though they were not quoting them, ever supplementally assessed their members, and they didn't, but statewide has. So if you hear a comparison between them, that's going to be one of the criticisms. However, based on what they had to in the past, we believe that they have corrected it and they are now funding more adequately. And the other thing is too, it's $77,000 per year savings. We didn't,
So in this case, the 3%, $4,500, all right.
right,
So
based
that would
on
be
the
our-
savings, right.
And one of the suggestions that we were discussing about this, because, the edit assessments don't certainly come back next year in the budget,
No.
they come back, 4 or 5 years down the road, is that it's hard to ignore this kind of savings for comparable, or actually in some case, better coverage.
Yeah.
But what the board could do is set aside an insurance reserve if you wanted to. So many dollars or such a percentage of the savings that stays in a reserve account, just like you do for your closure, post-closure, non-DEP reserves, or your capital reserves, or your construction reserves, that there, if there is an edit assessment, let's say in 2015, 2020, you pull out of that, and you're not dealing with a fluctuation in that budget line. You have the option of doing that.
So we live in a glass house, so, but who are we getting in bed with here? I mean, what other operations are we getting in bed with?
Would you like, well, I told you the commission, it's just Cumberland County. Just make sure it's what tab it is.
I think you said they had one other landfill?
Yes. I have the member list. I'm just trying to.
I don't want to rattle you, I'm just asking
No,
questions.
that's okay.
Asking questions.
There we go. I can go over them, yeah, if you would like, but like I said, it's basically down in South Jersey would be, West Deptford just recently joined, but your neighbors would be Salem City, has been in for a long period of time, and the city of Bridgeton. They do Sussex County, MUA, they do Harston, I believe, MUA. They do Bayonne redevelopment, so that's the economic portion that the Improvement Authority does.
Tell me this, assuming we went with these people September, whatever it is, and they get an assessment from last year, we don't pay that. So we're only.
Correct, you're only in for 3 months in 2013, and that's another point, thank you for the segue. If you join the Insurance Commission or you join Statewide Insurance Fund, you are committed for 3 years. Although you're committed for 3 years, they do an annual budget. So this number is not set for 3 years. We were able to confirm with Statewide that come January 1st, 2014, that assessment won't go up any more than 6%. The Insurance Commission will be no more than 5%.
Okay, so we're only open to an assessment for the period that we're covered by the.
Correct, and that would be 2 years and like 3 months.
Okay.
Okay, because you would join September 4th,
Any
2013.
of our friends on there, like is Tom's River on there, is
No.
Brielle on there?
No.
Once again, the big losses.
What other friends do you have in the
So seriously, catastrophic storm, I assume, would hurt if, depending on what.
No, actually, and that's the reverse, because they purchase enough reinsurance and they don't retain a lot of risk on the property where where they can exceed the loss fund is usually on the workers' compensation. If they have significant claims or a large frequency of claims. I'm just saying that. And your assessment, if you go down on the one exhibit, I think it's $31,000. So if they only have to assess the workers' compensation line, then it would be 3% or whatever the percent is of that assessment, not the total.
So there's two separate pots?
Yeah, they have,
So
they
there's a
run
pot?
2 different fund line items, all other lines and workers' comp.
All right,
So,
that
yeah.
makes sense because they're regulated, that's regulated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's what I'm saying, whenever I've seen a supplemental assessment, because I've seen New Jersey school boards, I've seen diploma, and this one, it was all on the workers' comp line.
Where did I see Lloyd's in London was a backup? Where did I see that?
That's on the Insurance Commission.
Okay. And
They
Lloyd's-
just switched programs, 7-1, that's the delay in their proposal.
And Lloyd's in London was in trouble just a couple years ago, right?
They may have been, but we're pretty confident with the carriers that they're choosing that it's financially stable. And there are Union, Gloucester, Camden, Burlington, Cumberland, and Salem County Insurance Commissions.
Let's save some money, let's sign up.
That's true, I never heard of an insurance commission. Is that something?
Actually, the legislation for insurance commissions came out before joint insurance funds, but the counties just never did that. So the counties tried to create a couple years ago their own joint insurance fund, and it just didn't work. So then what ended up happening was a vendor went out and said, well,
There's a statute that regulates
there is a
that.
statute, exactly. And the insurance commission operates very similar to a joint insurance fund. They're going to carry the same type of financial statements. They are only going to invest in what a joint insurance fund, very conservative. They hire an actuary, and they hire all vendors very similar to a chain.
Is the 157 booked in for 3 years?
No,
Okay, same deal there?
same deal.
Okay.
The one thing that we would recommend not changing, as Melinda and Bonnie and I met, is that pollution liability policy. That's the one piece that, yes, the Salem County Commission, a statewide JIF, and we could get standalone. We would suggest strongly keeping that as a standalone with Excel. That is the hardest policy to rewrite if we ever needed it in the future.
Which one is that?
Excel, it's the pollution liability, it's the very first line below the shade. And as you can see, statewide is a little bit higher than our current policy anyway, even though it would still be with Excel.
So our recommendation would be to take the 112 and add 25,000, because we would put, again, as Debbie just said, that would stay as a standalone policy.
Now, is that lower because we have all our insurance through them?
This is their quote, even
Just-
without,
Just for that
yeah,
standalone?
and we've been clear with them that.
Are
we're looking-
deductibles similar?
That would be the one difference if you go to the comparison, which is the last page. I think the two major deductibles. First of all, you're picking up flood coverage and earthquake coverage if you go into statewide insurance fund or if you go into the commission. And I must say, I've been doing this for 20-some years, never had an earthquake claim
Oh, we
until,
have.
oh, yes, yes. Okay.
Have no claim, but we had earthquake.
Yeah, so you folks, as much as I say no, don't worry about earthquake, you guys have an exposure. Okay, so you are picking up coverage with either one of these.
And the flood coverage, is that federal flood? Or
It's actually, you do not have any locations in the high hazard, so you have just your property deductible.
has this been through a committee?
No.
We just got it on Monday.
And time sensitive, right?
That was started earlier.
Time
No.
sensitive.
Yeah. As you can see, some of the quotes were still coming back even as of today.
Oh, they were solicited late.
No, they weren't solicited late. We started this in April.
And they just happened to come back today.
As a matter of fact, that's a good point. I didn't think we had
The county commission came back today.
I didn't know that we had a quote from others, so.
There's an email.
Did we first ask them, when did we first ask them?
Probably by May. We met in April to start looking at what needed to change, so the quotes went out probably in May. And you know, most of them aren't going to requote until 60 days before, but the county commission has not been.
So let's get it straight. When did we first start soliciting? We solicit everybody at the same time?
Mhm.
Okay. And we solicit everybody?
When I met with you before I started, which would have been the April meeting, I asked if you were in JIFs, and you said no one would have us.
No, what I said is the TRICO JIF that we asked about last year,
Yeah,
after we
yes,
dropped the
no one.
nursing home, would not have us.
And the utilities authority JIF would not have you
Because
either.
of the landfill, but we hadn't gone to statewide, we hadn't gone because of the nursing home. This is the other thing too, the nursing home pretty much did shut us out of a lot of alternative options for insurance right off the bat, not just the landfill. So when we were able to 1 year post the sale of the nursing home, which would have been May of 12, finally strike what would be our own experience rating, that's the first time we really have an opportunity to look at new ratios. Our workers' comp ratio, even today, is still slightly, although not very much, negatively affected by that nursing home because of the long tail period on
Right, next year we'll finally be.
So I answer the question. We started reviewing this in May, and we asked for all the respondents in May.
Well, we sent out the proposals.
So I mean,
Right.
yeah.
And then with the insurance commission, they were changing their program. I'm just saying, so effective July 1st, they changed reinsurers, and I can get, into as much detail as you would like, but they couldn't offer a quote before that.
I understand.
But yeah, I'm just saying,
But
but
we-
there was a reason.
So the point is, we sent them all out at the same time.
Mhm.
Okay. So we did our,
Yes,
we
we
did
did
our
our due
part
diligence.
of the
Correct.
equation. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was, I don't know. We called somebody yesterday
No.
afternoon. I mean,
Are we paid up on any of the policies that we currently have? Looks like one, next Friday.
The one is a 1/1 renewal, and that's your public officials. Is that the line up, sir, that you're looking at?
I'm looking at crime, which is 6/30/2013
Oh.
to 14.
Yes. And what we would do is, you're not going to receive a short rate cancellation penalty on that coverage, so we would move that in. But if you go down a line item where you see the 1/1/2012 to 13, the public officials, if I were to cancel that now, the commission gets a short rate cancellation penalty. We don't want that. So we went to both the insurance commission and to the joint insurance fund and said, can we put that coverage in January 1st when this policy expires? And they said yes. So this won't be probably a true cost, but it's more, I wanted to give you apples to apples of an annual cost.
Okay, so that includes the public officials liability,
Correct.
even though we're not paying it this year.
Correct.
so
Because this is going to
the
be
actual
prorated
outlay-
anyway. This will be prorated from September 4th to 1/1.
This is annualized,
Correct.
just so I understand that.
Correct.
This is annualized. Our first bill that we will get September 5th or whatever day it is, will be
3 months.
40%
Right.
what was it, September, October, November, December?
Or-
That's 1/3.
25%.
I have no figures. 1/3, roughly 1/3.
Correct.
Our bill,
Correct.
but less than 1/3 because we won't have some coverages,
Right. The public, right.
which is a hunk. I understand.
I think the only
Any
other
other-
thing was
any other questions?
deductibles, real quick. Most of them, if you go down the line, you'll see that the insurance commission and statewide offer you lower deductibles. There is one correction on the commission where it says all the way down, public officials. They amended that deductible's 25,000, not 100,000. And you're gonna
Where-
see
where's
a
the
lot of,
100?
pardon?
Where's the 100,000?
Yeah, when I
That's
saw
for the
that,
insurance commission, though.
yeah, the insurance commission, when I saw that, I was like, that doesn't,
Okay, that's not the one we're messing with.
A question I had, you made a mention with vehicles, commercial, we get a new vehicle, we pay more.
with the commission and with the insurance fund, you do not pay
So we
anything.
buy 25 new trucks tomorrow.
They're not gonna assess, okay? If you take off 25, I'm gonna argue with them that you've significantly changed your exposure and try and
We
get
have no
it.
plans to buy the 25 new trucks, but it just
But
seems,
yeah, I mean, it does make the accounting much easier because you're not $2,000 here, or every time you add buy a new piece of equipment throughout the year.
Which we have to put into the capital budget, new insurance costs for the vehicles that we're changing.
I understand,
Yeah, that goes away.
I understand.
Mhm.
How did we get a September 4th renewal date?
Yeah, that
Not
one
calendar
predates
year.
us.
Before me.
And that's
But
before us.
it'll be a calendar year.
Then it'll come until January 1, correct.
It's
And
probably
also we
when
did-
they change
Yeah, we did
areas
check,
along the way.
I think it's switched that around,
we
first January that comes up.
did check with them because of the cash flow issue with becoming a January 1. They do offer 4 payment plans. If you do pay late because of when you folks adopt your budget, it's not an issue. They do not charge a late payment. Where with an insurance carrier, they can cancel you for non-pay. And the reason being, again, Joint Insurance Fund, Insurance Commission, it's public entities. They're trying to help you out. The training, that's the one great thing with it is they'll do specialized training for what meets the needs of the
Okay, where we at?
client.
Any more questions? Oh, we're still not through the whole program yet, right?
This
Reader's
is-
Digest,
this is-
like,
that's
we're
the-
ready
yeah,
to
sorry.
cover government.
We've got another 200 pages to get through.
So, do you want to tell us anything more?
No,
I think you're through.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just think it should have gone through a committee before it got to us. You run the committees.
Yeah. We never did it before.
You never changed insurance companies before.
Oh, I think we did.
You must
Absolutely.
have had some kind of
No,
meeting.
no question about it.
You do them without meeting?
Pardon?
You do them without having a meeting?
No, we've always,
Just do them right.
every time we've done this, we've had someone from the insurance company come and make a presentation. And I recall every year, because it's important enough to give it to the committee of the whole.
Have you ever had one where you have to do it because next week it takes effect?
No,
Although when the nursing home was brought on board, I believe you had I wasn't here, but I think you had a short-term period of time to bring those coverages on board here and dissolve.
right,
them.
yeah, in fact, we did.
For transfers.
In fact, we did, I do recall that. Yeah, but the insurance every year has been the committee of the whole, because it's a major thing. Never do it any other way.
Thank you very much, that was very informative.
Thank you, yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
Okay, so you've heard the presentation.
There's actions in new business.
Pardon?
There are action items in new business later on in the agenda.
Okay, so we don't want to take up the vote now?
It's up to you. I'm just telling you.
Well, I would suggest we do the vote now because you have the young lady here.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Statewide.
But there's all these resolutions and
There's
it's
3 resolutions.
All right, so
not just a matter of making the motion.
Tab number 9.
number 9,
Tab number 9,
okay.
it's the 4th resolution back. First one is the authorizing San County Attorney to join the statewide joint insurance fund. Go back one. That's the agreement. Go back one more.
Okay. Okay, what will be this number? This number goes out of sequence, but that's okay.
58.
58?
Have you reviewed the bylaws
Yes,
and we can
and the
comply with
agreements,
everything?
yes.
Okay.
Does that add up to 3 years, September 4th to January 1, 2016?
Yeah, it's 1/1 of 14, so it's all calendar year 14, 15, and 16.
You're done.
Effective September
We're-
4th.
It's 3 months for this year, which counts as the first year, and then all 14 and all of 15, and then you would renew your second cycle if so chosen.
So our
as-
exposure is 2 years and 4 months, not 3 years.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, then that's not worded correctly, then, is it? We're gonna be, okay, we're gonna be a member of the fund, which is different than insurance, is what you're saying.
Right, it's not 3 calendar years, we will be with them for 3 months, 4 months in 2013, the full calendar year 14, the full calendar year 15. That's their 3-year cycle.
But the 3 years refers to calendar years of 13, 14, 15. right?
Right, if you were to join January 1st, 2014, then you would be up.
Right.
I wouldn't be a lawyer, but why would it just say effective, a period from this date to this date,
Because I think
rather than
they go
saying
by the-
3 years
they-
and?
They need to know by the calendar year, when
They
they
do the
say
budget year.
3-year commitment, it's 3 calendar years, so.
Well,
so
nothing could be
when
more
you
specific
submit-
than giving the dates, could it?
What's that?
Nothing could be more specific
No,
than
but
Well, I think
saying.
isn't that in
there
there?
should be no
It
discussion.
says,
so we can
what
finish
I'm
this
saying
out.
is, it should say effective September 14th, terminating January 1. There could be no question about it, but when you throw in, it says a period of 3 years, effective September 4th, terminating January 1.
That's what it says.
Those numbers don't equal 3 years.
No, it says terminating on January 1,
I'm
2000.
sorry,
No,
also,
what he's saying is
years.
it doesn't coincide,
They don't-
but it
they don't say
does
this-
for the insurance world.
27 months instead of 36.
Yeah, it doesn't coincide, but in the insurance world,
Is
they're
there a
going by
minute
year,
on the table?
year 1 is 2013,
Here's your
even though it's only 4 months.
That's lawyer spec for sure, because it couldn't be any more clear than just
Okay,
saying at the
so-
time.
We haven't even started, okay. Is there, someone make a motion to approve this resolution
I
number?
did.
Okay, you made that.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion on the motion.
Now,
Now,
Now, there's no refunds on the insurance until this 3-year period is over, if my recollection of GIFs is correct.
Correct, it's 2 years after policy expiration, they can look at it. Correct,
but those years are handled individually.
correct.
So if there was a refund for 13, we would get it in 16.
If they would declare something that early, correct.
Yeah,
but you
right.
would be entitled to 4 months.
Right, a quarter.
Quarter of it.
Third,
Correct.
yeah.
Is this discussion for the indemnity and trust agreement also?
Yes, that goes with this.
Okay, on page 2, section 9. I think there's something missing. Each SCIA, which, What is it?
Division, sorry.
Each division?
Where's that?
Each SC.
Section 9. Are there more divisions that would be? No, we just have the two
We have
divisions.
the two divisions, yes.
Well, you're right, okay, you're right. Okay. So, we have motion and a second, we have a question on the motion. Any more questions on the motion? Okay. The moved in a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Need a roll call? Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
John Over,
Yes,
Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Pete Rose.
Yes.
Bob Whitfield,
Yes.
Lou Snyder.
Yes.
okay. Motion carried. Now, what do we gotta do? This is appointing risk management consultant, we already did that at the beginning of the year.
We need to
Oh,
do
that's
it
the fund commissioner.
again, with
Pardon?
the fund commissioner first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped one.
Become,
That's in the back.
you just have to go into-
Now the sequence here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one will be 59. Okay, someone like to make this motion?
What's the motion? Which one are we on?
Resolution appointing a fund commissioner for the statewide joint insurance fund,
That would be you, right?
tab 9. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Move in second, any question on the motion?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm just curious, would you be able to tell me, is that going to end at the calendar year, or is that going to be when you guys reorg and you assign the new one? You guys reorg in?
These run at reorg, or when they'll be appointed as,
You
this
can
is
change anytime
the
you want.
staff
Oh,
Okay, so reorg is still
in February.
February.
Okay. Move in second, question on the motion, any more questions? Hearing none, roll call.
John Over,
Yes,
Ron Howard.
Yes.
Pete Rose.
Yes.
Bob Whitfield,
yes.
Lou Snyder.
Yeah.
okay. Number 30, or 59, now where are we at? Which one do you want to take next?
A resolution appointing the risk management consultant.
Which is, in my one, it's back a little bit, right? Okay, that's 60, right? Everybody got that one? So the question is, these people are already appointed, why are we doing it?
But we need to do this in order to comply with the joint insurance fund's requirements on an appointment of a risk management consultant and per the agreement with the risk manager.
Gotcha.
I'll make that motion.
We
Move
have some discussion about
Oh, yes, sir.
Second.
Move in second, any question on the motion?
Now, is the consultant with the group or
Say again?
is the consultant the Hardenberg group? Or is there a
Yes.
specific name involved?
No, it's the
No,
group.
it's the,
Just the
Company.
group?
that. So you're the insurance broker, basically?
correct,
or-
and we're the risk manager to the fund, and our appointment is only until January. Ours does not follow the membership.
And the consultant shall be paid by the, tell me how you get paid and what she gets paid. What do you get paid?
They get paid by
It's
the,
a percentage
The
of our
Jeff, right?
insurance.
Percentage.
Just the 6% I'm looking at here?
Mhm.
Yep.
6% of the premium?
Mhm.
right, my understanding, yeah. That's what all the gifts do, I'm aware. Okay, any other questions? Okay, move in second, all, is that any,
That's just a regular.
move in second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There's no opposed? Carried. What do we do next?
Go back to tab 3.
So we're done with the insurance.
We're done with insurance.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Maybe we're not quite ready to die this later. Yeah, okay, so, that helps our budget out a little bit for the year.
Yes.
Yeah, I forget what somebody said, what was it, a little bit there? Okay,
Solid Waste Division tab 3.
Solid Waste Division Manager Report, tab 3.
Good evening, everyone. You have my written report in front of you, and you also have those wonderful charts we're looking at. I have some good news to report compared to last year, July, the same month. Last year was $280,000, and this year it's $522,000 in revenue for landfill tonnage. That's a significant increase over last year. Yes, our leachate gallons is 1,128,000 plus because of the rain. We can't really do anything about that. Slightly contaminated material is down just a little bit, so I had to increase the cover material coming in, the virgin cover material, because we don't have enough cover material.
I can't imagine what would have benefited out of the park on
You know what? I don't know.
it. You tell me.
I don't know. We couldn't even guesstimate. In a way, putting the tarp on was a disadvantage to us because we really couldn't measure what it was gonna be without it, so we really don't have anything to measure. So maybe we just better count our blessings and go forward.
Is the 522 a good average?
The 520, it's 522,621.91. That's for July of 2013. Compared to last year, an average, you mean for, well, see, we're increasing each month as we go forward with picking up little bits here and there from outside entities, so I'm hoping it'll increase a little bit more too. Our convenience center tonnage is up slightly compared to the same time last year. We see a little decrease in our 13 and 13C, which is construction demo, just a little decrease. But our outside Salem County entities is bringing us like 7,909 tons compared to last year of 2,959. So it's a big increase.
We can probably do away with flow control.
I have no comment on
Go ahead, let me finish the last
that.
question.
No, does anyone have any other questions about
Yeah, the leachate, year-to-date, 12 to 13, what's that?
Year-to-date 2013 is 7,348,132.08 gallons, compared to year-to-date 2012, 3,988,407.62, twice as much.
How does that go as vis-a-vis our budget?
We are still under budget. If the board recalls, we budget for leachate hauling and leachate treatment on the high years. 9, 11, and 13 have been high years. So we are still only 60% of budget on that. I expect that we'll make it unless we have superstorm, you name it, come through again this fall.
Sandy, Thomas, that's
Yeah.
a little bit.
The highest, I'm looking on the chart here, I'm trying
This
to
is
see.
one of the line items we have not made.
Yeah, we've tried to keep that consistent because you just never can plan what the weather's gonna do. Yes, this is the highest year we've ever had in leachate, going back all the way to January of 2011. This was a record year. For
Yeah, well, don't forget, we have a bathtub we just opened up.
That helps. Yep.
You know.
It's more of a hot tub than a bathtub.
What kind of tub?
I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, you know what you're gonna do when you flip that, you know, when those pumps come on, you got an instant drain of the bathtub. But we've had unusually high rain.
Well,
Astronomically.
in fact, it was a record rain.
Yeah, yes it was.
Well, it was the highest rain, it was the highest July in history.
Yeah, it was.
So in 11, there was a pretty good one in 2 days, 11 and the 13th was rain.
Yeah,
Oh,
but you know
yeah.
what,
Forget
on
average.
the chart though, it doesn't show that it even touched, if you look at the
But
chart.
you only had, you have an extra cell.
We also have more, yeah, we have another 2 point.
We don't have necessarily an extra cell, we have a different cell. In fact,
Yeah,
those
it functions
days,
completely different than.
those
the
days,
landfill.
we were doing this. Today, we're doing this. You know, we got a hole in the ground. Before we had a hill, of course, we'd be collecting, we had a plateau, which collected. But that's what we've been trying to put in our Ouija board and come up with the answer to, and I can't come up with it, you know.
There's a question about aging.
Mhm.
In tab 10 correspondence, there's some suits that Mr. Kelsey has
That is correct.
filed for Miller.
Yes.
and BJ.
Mhm.
And it looks like they're from 2005 and 2006, those charges.
Yes, very possible. I don't have the actual
And
paperwork in front of me.
there's no interest yet charged. And it doesn't, it's not reflected on the suit. Is that something that's
The-
gonna come up somewhere along the line? 'Cause
I
we
put it,
really need to not let them have free
Well,
money.
they're actually now at a frozen point, correct? Because they've gone to collections, so it's frozen at that amount.
Well, then we can figure the interest easily then.
But you don't add that now that the paperwork's already been put through, do you?
I mean, I was just going based, I didn't know,
This was based on what we had on the account at the time, then it was made inactive at that point and given to Adam for further collection. So what you're saying is you want compounded interest put on this account
So then
through
you gotta
Adam?
collect it.
Yeah, you should have been suing for
Yeah,
the principal plus the interest to date. And what's our rate of interest in
He's
charge?
the
A
suit
lot of
requests,
years.
the suit requests interest and fees, so,
we need to calculate it so it's in the suit. The judge won't delay things while,
see if we get an
We
answer
calculate
first. Let's actually get service on these two people first. I mean, that's step 4, and
Well,
we're
see,
still at step 1.
if we have a cutoff date when everything was filed, we can calculate the interest and have that ready for you.
What I'm saying is, we can do that, but at this point, we don't have to worry about it because I can't even get good service on these two individuals yet.
Likely not.
Who are
to
the
be sued.
entities?
Scott Miller and BJ Farms. I had addresses, both of them came back, and we're trying to get better addresses.
How much is it?
Well, William Miller,
Miller's
Welding
nice.
is $96.33, and BJ Farms was $569.50,
$569?
and $96.
How much time ago put on this?
Go on now.
Well, how much money-
Yeah.
Go on.
If you're setting a precedent where you're not gonna charge anybody interest,
Well, no, that's not the case.
no one's gonna pay.
Let's get it clear, we're charging the interest properly, right?
No,
We're not.
there's no interest charged on these amounts,
Okay.
the 569.
What year are they from?
05 and 06.
2005.
5 and 6.
Okay, that was before we took over, that was from when it was the utility authority, correct? Okay, I don't know what happened to that. We're charging interest today, we're applying it per the resolution, is that correct?
Not on these two accounts.
I understand,
Okay,
I understand.
okay.
Any ones that are come thereafter, since the improvement authority's taken over the,
Well, even the interest on these accounts will be calculated and will be charged, even though these are SCIA accounts.
I'm not doing my question. My question is today, are we applying interest per the regulation? The answer is either yes or no.
Per the board's policy, yes.
Okay, case closed. On these two old ones, we've already spent too much time on already because the interest is not 25 cents. I'm exaggerating, but not by much. Those two will be applied to the lawsuit, right?
Right,
So
right.
case-
I mean, just add
any other
interest
questions
at
on
that
this?
time.
I mean, let's think about it.
Interest
Let's
was,
assume it's 10%.
Well, it's 1.5% per month for 8 years. You know, it's more than the base, more than the initial.
Could be, yeah. But the point is, you know, I learned in business, if you don't get it the first year, you ain't getting it, okay? And this should have been, went after 2006 or whatever the hell it was.
I do have a question.
Or 11 or 10
Do
or,
we have a point now where we say, okay, at 12 months and 18 months? we
Well,
go-
that's the point. When we took over,
We catch them at 120 days.
We're actually
Okay,
looking at
so we
this.
have a
30,
point.
69.
let me say this, you don't know the
There's-
history.
There's a reason for this that I'm not gonna go into, but if you guys want to call me, I can explain the Miller welding situation, which was completely off the charts weird because of the upgrade. It brought to our attention that this customer brought in 2 loads. The first load was brought in as a charge account, and then someone changed him to cash customer. That charge account first load was not paid for. This is that first load.
Well, he's gonna dispute that to start with, so.
Then the second load was paid cash, which was taken care of. So when the upgrade came in, the upgrade brought to our attention all kinds of anomalies that were strange. And that's at that point where we started to investigate the 9633 and why this customer owed that amount. The upgrade brought all kinds of other little weird things too. BJ Farms was in that mix, but it was a different situation. So these two accounts were anomalies. These are not regular operating accounts, just to let you know.
Okay, but here's the point. When we took over, the accounts receivable were this big, okay? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? Not $10, not $20, not $539, okay? Hundreds of thousands, okay? We worked them down to a year and a half. I think you can attest to that. Different, okay? So we're down to two at $39 and $539. I think that's pretty good, okay? And I'm gonna bet you, I never heard of these people. I don't know, I remember a year or two ago, we couldn't find them, didn't even know they existed. So,
We still can't find them, but
and
that's.
I'm gonna tell you, we gotta prepare a resolution
Charge
to
them
make
all.
sure that he don't spend more than an hour on it, because once he spends an hour on it, we're dead.
Well, that's added to the suit also.
Pardon?
That's added to the
Yeah,
suit
but you
also.
got, if you don't get a judgment and you don't get, a judgment's one thing, collecting the money is another whole thing.
But if you're looking Frank Beising.
How we know they
it's easy
malign?
finding.
Pardon?
How we know they
You know who
malign?
they are.
Google.
And
Hey, just
No,
put it
no,
on,
no,
so
no,
they need to drive it
you
right
gotta
now.
have a way to collect the judgment. I mean, you're not gonna garnish the man's wages. I don't know if he's self-employed.
Well,
That money is.
I'll tell you what,
You don't
sending him after $59 is nuts. Anybody do that is a mental midget, okay? I'm not gonna send it to hire a lawyer to collect $59, are you crazy?
96.
Huh?
It's 96.
You know who this guy is?
Yeah, we're spending here,
It's worth a letter.
Swansea,
yeah. So we've sent letters,
You know this guy? You know Scott Miller or
No.
BJ Farms?
Beisinger?
I'm sorry?
Frank Beisinger?
Is that BJ Farms?
That's what your suit says. That's the name I got off the suit.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, I don't remember who it was. You know, I mean,
You
if you know
don't?
the guy, I could use the address. Because the address that's on the state website for the corporation is not correct.
and it's a corporation,
Yeah.
it's a corporation?
BJ Farm, I don't have the file in front of me.
Okay.
BJ, I'm just.
Well, let's
looking at BJ
assuming it
Farms.
is, though, we're really whistling Dixie, you know?
Well,
All right, let's move on there.
Yeah.
I think I sued him individually, but if I remember correctly.
Ty comes in.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
any other questions on collections? And by the
Or any other
way,
questions?
just to, I still didn't get my answer, maybe I did. We're charging interest as per
She
the
said yes.
resolution.
I gave you the answer, and the answer was yes.
Yeah, okay. So,
You want to review the tapes?
huh? I just want to get it on the record. I just spent too much time on good things I wanted to do. Okay. Any other okay, so where were we? Christ, I lost my train of thought.
Motion to accept the report.
No, leachate. So, the question is, bar any catastrophe, we're still within our budget on leachate.
That is correct,
Okay, thank you.
unless we have another 2 months of
Well,
He just went
record
to-
rainfall.
I got my crystal ball out, go way before that.
I'll look into my crystal ball, and I'll let you know what the rainfall's gonna be, but usually, we don't get massive rainfall between September and December, usually.
Don't say that.
But July,
Don't say
in
that.
July is normally our driest month, and this year it was our wettest.
Well, I know
So
that.
that being said, thank you very much for your time. And have
Okay,
a
any other
lovely
questions?
evening.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, without objection, I'll receive the report and file it. Hearing no objections. Next item on the agenda is engineers report. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board has our report dated August 15th. I don't have anything to add to it other than to mention that the bids for the leachate storage tanks are on tonight's agenda for award, and I can answer if there's any questions on that or anything else. I can answer it now or later. So up to your pleasure.
Why don't we talk about the leach, the tank
Okay.
when we get into the meat of it?
Sure.
We'll be off on a tangent. Okay, resolution authorizing transfer of funds to solid waste division. What's this all about?
Mr. Chairman, you have a resolution requesting transfer of an amount of $3,200 from the household hazardous waste line item into the safety program. This is to cover the expenses of the AED, the eyeglass, and the shoe program.
I make a motion to accept.
Moved, there a second?
Is
Second.
there,
Second, okay, any questions on the motion?
is there a change in the safety program?
Is there, no. Is there a change in the safety program? No.
Is there a limit on the safety glass and shoes?
Yes,
What's that limit?
$100
Okay.
per employee of the solid waste division.
Okay,
Yeah,
Effective.
last year, the safety program was $1,600, now it's going to $10,200. There must have been some change.
Yeah, we've purchased AEDs for both sites that
That's what I asked.
are typically not, you know, an annual reoccurring cost. And all of our,
Is that on the program or equipment?
that is in the program for safety, yes. Yeah. And your eyeglass and shoe wear is not an annual program. It is a cyclic program, it occurs every 2 years.
And you didn't know that? Budget time?
We do now.
okay, any other questions? Okay, it's moved to second, right?
Yes.
Moved to second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's, what number was that?
That was 61.
61?
Mhm.
Sure, okay. Now we're going to payment of bills, which would be 62. We have a total of bills in the solid waste division, $168,776.06. Regular payment checks, bills the amount of $70,084.15 by approval of electronic payment. And bills the amount of $12,769.18 for approval by manual check. Tell us what the manual check was about.
Sure, there's several manual checks, and we did create a spreadsheet so you could see. We have a treasurer state of New Jersey, which is a solid waste division registration fee. Those come in toward the end of the month and are due to be paid prior to your board meeting every month. That is once a year. The property taxes, both for Mannington and Alloway, I believe, as we know, the entire county's bills were late, so we needed to pay those by manual check. And we also had our 5th workers' comp payment for, that's a direct payment to Hardenberg since they front the money, and then pay the bill directly to New Jersey manufacturers for us.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Any questions on the bills?
Workers' comp, will that go into the new policy?
No, that's for the current policy of New Jersey manufacturers. That was our
Okay,
5th
so
installment.
that gets picked up in January? January 1st?
Yes, for the new carriers for statewide funds.
Okay.
So, just one question, is this,
Yeah.
what's this studios, about the check
Which one are you-
3359?
3359
Yeah,
or 3459?
it's on the first page of solid
Sarah
waste.
Studios, that's our webmaster, that's our website
Oh,
host.
Studios, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
That's the bills want to go bigger and bigger, right? 'Cause, we're found, we are right on with the statute now.
Yes, we are.
I don't think anybody else is right on with the statute, but I know we are.
We
I don't
got a
think-
little audit from our auditor on that,
Oh, really?
yes.
Okay. We talk about audits a little later. Okay, so moving second. Any more questions? Hearing none, moving second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda. Okay, Economic Development Division Manager report, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have my written report as part of the package today. Just a couple of quick updates of regional transportation. Debbie and I did meet with the owner and his attorney since that last meeting, and we will be facilitating a meeting with DRBA in our airport operations on that. New Jersey American Water, okay, the updated information, delivery of the installation of the transmitter and radio is everything, the equipment was to be delivered today for the shelter. The microwave antenna is scheduled for the week of September 15th, so we'll be hopefully, we'll see. It's been a while on that, so let's keep our fingers crossed it stays on schedule. The strategic plan, we've completed all 3 of the focus group meetings. We will be meeting with our consultant next Wednesday. I'm sorry, it's the 5th, I believe it is. Okay, so, and then we will start the draft program on that. So, and then we'll be able to present it to the public and also the tree holders and everybody on that. But draft will be taken up next week.
Any questions of the economic development?
Yes, are there new memberships or sponsorships?
I'm sorry,
Do you have any new memberships or sponsorships
for,
for economic development?
well, we do, we have ongoing sponsorships, yes.
On the next page, you're going from $490 membership and sponsorship to $9,000. Just wondering what that was.
The memberships and everything is to project, because we're gonna finish up all purchase orders before the end of the year, actually before the end of October. So some of our sponsorships will be coming in, and that is Southern New Jersey Development Council, we have a sponsorship there, and any memberships that we have that will be coming up at the end of the year. So it's just moving everything over so that we can finish.
Was this a question on the budget and transfer?
No, it's from his report I asked about.
Oh, okay.
Because the next item on the agenda is transferring money,
Right.
and it's because of membership and sponsorships.
Well, that's not in my report.
So it's on the
That's a
resolution
different
for
page.
your.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Well,
got
one
a
minute.
little confused, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused, sorry.
Any
Are
other
you gonna bring
questions?
it up on the next page then? Go ahead.
Okay, any other questions concerning the report? Hearing none,
Thank you.
without objection, I'll receive the report ordered filed, so ordered, hearing no objection. Okay, now the resolution to transfer of funds, this is what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. This is number 63. First, I entertain a motion to
I'll make that motion.
approve it.
Second.
Moving to second, question on the motion, you have a question, right?
Yeah, there's the membership and sponsorship. Last year, the actual expense was $490. And this year, it's, with this transfer, is going to $9,000, so.
Yeah.
Just curious why the big jump.
No, we're
That's why I asked
transferring
if there
to.
was new memberships or sponsorships.
Can I address that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, we've got a request for the transfer for $2,000 from printing and binding to $2,000 for memberships and sponsorships. We are undertaking an economic development guide, which is again a cyclic publication that only comes up every 3 years. We are taking front page sponsorship on that publication. And then the Southern New Jersey Development Council annual sponsorship will be coming in, I believe, by October 1st. I forget the date of that, but we will send that out to the board. And that is also a sponsorship that we do on a cyclic basis, not on a basic.
Thank you.
Okay, let's bear in mind that we do things different than any other authority that I know of. At least that's what our auditor tells us, is why do you do this? Normally, an authority is not required to do the transfer of the funds. Our internal controls dictate that. And the reason was because we couldn't keep control of our budget. So we're down to hundreds of dollars in transfers. You won't see this in another authority. I think you do have experience in authorities. You don't see this. We see it, okay? And when we started, we said, we're gonna be nitpicking toward the end of the year, you know, transferring $500 here, $500 there. We said, so be it. We'll have better control. So we'll get this. And, you know, these small amounts, 1,000, 500. You're gonna see them now because we're gonna close our books out because of the auditor's suggestion at December 31st. So no purchase orders will survive December 31st. So that dictates that you get your purchase orders out in October and September, October, so we're not scrambling to adjust the budget after the first of the year. So that's why you'll see what some people would say is nitpicking $500 and $200 transfers. Other authorities don't do that. They just have a pot operating, they just spend willy-nilly.
Well, to go from $490 to $9,000 is not.
Well, that's not a fact, is it?
Yes.
You also have, if I can address this, you also have reconciliation of prior year's budgets that were not very well founded based on real numbers, okay? So in 2011, the temporary budgets that were put together here were not based on actual expenditures. So over 2012 and 13, we've now refined those budget line items to say that we've hit every single target in terms of financials, that we're going to get down to the penny on, no. But we have a good list for each line item now going into the budget year as to what to expect. Will there be things that are unanticipated during the course of the year? Of course. As long as we don't overexpend the entire budget, we'll have met the statutory compliance. But we will bring forward for this board every transfer that does need to occur. So, prior year's budget numbers compared to what you're seeing now in 2013, in many cases will be a significant variation.
Well, we're getting
Not
down.
by the audit numbers, audited numbers. For actual.
Okay, so that's that one. Then where we at?
All in favor?
One third, one again.
Pardon?
On the transfer. You haven't done it yet.
Oh, we haven't voted, I'm sorry. It's,
Motion
moved and seconded, all those, we had discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we transferred the small amount, now we have authorizing the bills to zero. Why are we paying zero?
No.
We're paying
We have
10,000.
10,00093.08
Okay.
in check, zero in electronic payment.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, move, second, all those, any question on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is, okay, now I'm back on business. I'd like to pay those bills zero. Okay. Nursing at home is, okay, give us 2 seconds on the nursing home bills.
Mr. Chairman, on the nursing home division, you have a regular payment of $7,692.48. That is for the unemployment, which we received yet another unemployment claim from a prior nursing home employee. And then you also have a bill in the amount of $15,887.13, which is electronic payment. That is for the state health benefit retiree payments.
Okay, now, I got a problem with that. You told me that we haven't received a payment from the county for July,
August.
I'm sorry. This is August, okay. We have not, and we're paying it,
We've already paid it. These are due the 10th of every month.
okay. Mr. Freeholder, can you get that paid on time for us? Why don't they do
I
that?
brought it up on numerous occasions, I think Debbie Turner Fox is aware of that, and money is budgeted, talked to our CFO, and why that can't be put out there, I thought that they were gonna work together to try to get that done.
Yeah, but they haven't paid it once. And why don't they just approve it at the meeting before?
I think what happens when you get into the summer months, we only have one meeting, it's in the third week.
Yeah, approve it the month before.
Well, this isn't Little League, this is the big time. I mean, you guys gotta get your act together over there. Pretty frustrating, because we're dipping into our money, we're tons more paperwork, and all you guys gotta do is pay a monthly bill, it's set. What's so hard about it?
Pass
See-
on your comments.
I mean, I get upset when we don't pay a bill $25 late.
Yeah, this is the same
It
bullshit.
seems to me, if they just put on the bill list the month before, you have 2 a month, they don't have to put the check out. They can hold the check till the given day, approve it on the month before. I mean, well, I was involved in government in that area, that's what I did. We would anticipate the bills, get them approved the month before, have the check made up, try to hold the check, send it out on a given day. But whatever.
And then if we don't pay it, then these poor people don't have.
Well, that's the point. If,
And it wouldn't be on us, it'd be on the,
I don't know who it'd be on.
I wouldn't know who it was gonna be on, the Keystone Cops up the street.
But whatever. Yeah, we'd appreciate it if we, it's a minor thing, but it's an error, I'll tell you that.
You said one more claim came about?
Yes, one more unemployment claim. This was from the prior nursing home administrator who took a job right after the layoff and has subsequently been laid off and is now coming up with a claim on us.
Will we pay the whole thing or the other job pick up
The other
part of that?
job should pick up all of that as well.
We can't have more than a quarter involved, I don't think.
You would think not.
I mean, that's a long time now.
Well-
Well, back 52 weeks, right?
You know something? I get them for 3 years later.
Yeah,
That might be 12 cents, or sometimes I get them for like pennies, 97
years
cents.
later.
And, because what they do is, they go back, they prorate, I'm sure you get it.
I get it. But I mean, it goes back, they look, searching back like 52 weeks. If there's a point where they don't work, I guess.
They'll go back more than 52.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90, 99 I think is the cycle period now.
So, like I get them, I say, who the heck's this? You know, Mary Chabot. I remember her, she worked here 2 weeks, 3 years ago. how come we're paying $1.27? You know, that happens, but that's one particular person, right? Who worked somewhere and then got laid off and went back.
Yeah,
got laid off.
the first round of people that got laid off and basically went on unemployment right away, you know, they went through their 26 weeks and they were done by the end of 2011. Everybody now is the catch as catch can. They took a job, maybe they didn't file right away. That's the other thing. You see some people who didn't file right away. Now they're coming back,
All right, yeah.
not filing.
But we said this before, this should be the other one. But we said that in the summer. Okay, so where are we at? Someone make a motion? Someone like to make a
So
motion?
moved.
Second. Second.
Second, moved and second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, moved and second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So ordered. Now, where are we at? I'm confused today.
First one.
Standing committee report. Okay, executive committee report. Ron, I tried to get a hold of you, I didn't get a hold of you. What we have to do is have a meeting on the executive director's pay. So I'll get a hold of you maybe before you leave, maybe we'll look at our calendars, get that report.
I guess my best number is either one of my work number or cell number is probably the best.
Okay. Well, maybe before you leave tonight, maybe just check our calendars.
Okay.
We'll do that and then get that going. Okay, Alloway hosts community benefits. Okay, we discussed that. We have a proposal to Alloway. Okay, there's two proposals the executive director put up as discussed at this board. One proposal is we build a whole new facility, I guess you would call it, down on, what's the name of that side road?
Mauer Station.
Mauer Station Road. I think that's a non-starter, but it's put on the table, so we send that. The other alternative is to go through our gate, weigh the car or vehicle, whatever it is, take it to 2 containers separate from our containers, put the stuff in there, and then send it up to the landfill.
Why does that have to be separate?
You know, good question. Maybe not be separate. Makes no difference to them. What do, you know? What do we
One
care?
of their
If you're tracking it on the scale, I mean.
Well, one of their issues was they really don't want their people to pay at the scale. So the only way to backfill them would be to weigh the container then too.
Would that increase another employee having to carry it back and forth?
There are some costs, actually, depending on the proposal. In the standalone proposal where they would have their own independently operated convenience center at our location, there are some significant one-time startup costs as well as some ongoing costs because you basically be running a shadow facility. You'd have double staff, you'd have an area that would need to be cleared, you'd have separate containers to be hauled. But again, that was their request of us, that we evaluate that. So we've given them a proposal with some financials involved as to what that would take. We've then done a fallback proposal, which is, you know, a way to alleviate some of those expenses and as much as possible by merging it into our facility. But again, they seem very adverse to coming over the scale. You know, the two issues for them have been no Sunday hours and coming over the scale. Well, unless I get a different direction from this board, the Sunday is a non-starter from the get-go.
Can't afford the overtime.
But the scale issues, we may be able to, you know, work around.
Yeah. The proposal for the separate entity was given to them October of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that hasn't changed.
And what would that cost us?
Well, of course, them.
So it's not gonna cost us anything?
Well, we've got the host
There-
benefit money that they're, you know, we're taking, you know.
Yeah, it would cost, basically, it would cost them. It costs $100,000 to build it, they gotta pay
Yeah, we're not gonna pay
$100,000.
the building of it, but
That's
we're
what I'm saying,
gonna
what would it
do the
cost us?
host.
Currently, they have their other site, and they pay to bring it to us,
Correct.
right? And do they pay, they go across the scale with that?
Yes.
So they're paying to bring their waste to us now, right?
They're a
Just like anybody
customer,
else.
just like,
Okay, even though they get the payment in lieu of taxes and they get a piece of it every ton, they still have to pay for their tonnage, right?
that's right, exactly. So the goal is, I think we're down to to the point where they've indicated that they don't want to put the money in the building new facility, like stupid. You know, they do a whole.
Separate entrance.
Yeah, they'd have to maintain a man there or whoever, like woman, man, or personnel, still haul it around the corner. You know, you haul it a mile, you haul it 10 feet, they're the same cost. Okay, so that's, we'll send that out, that's on still on the table. The second idea is to have them come through our gate, go across our scale, weigh the car with 3 pounds of waste paper in there, okay? Put it in put it in our dumpsters, or on the other hand, another alternative would be to go across and put it in their dumpster at a separate location. There's 2 options there.
Well, if we're going across the scale, we know what it weighs anyway, so why does it have to be in a separate?
No, don't go across the scale. That could be an option. Don't go across the scale.
Just dump it in.
Go, take the right fork and go over there.
But then they could say, hey, you know, somebody else put trash in our containers, I think, so that's not good. Go across the scale.
The,
You need a checkpoint.
the 2 things required of that would be stickers with a barcode. That would eliminate some of it, okay? And 2, camera. And by the way, is our cameras working? Is it aside?
I will have to verify that. I can't speak to that.
Okay. We'll make sure our cameras are working. But at any rate, so you'd have a camera. There's gonna be a little leakage. You and I know that there'll be leakage. But if you gotta put 3 people there, the leakage could be that much, you know, to pay for, maybe I'm exaggerating, 2 or 3 people to watch, you know. So the point is, send them out a proposal, get them to the table, let them come back and tell us what they want.
Is it possible to get a report for that committee? Yeah, we always have these standing committee reports, but we never really get a committee report.
Not from me, I ain't gonna write one.
No, we don't get any reports, actually, we get agendas.
Yeah, and we're here to give the report. I'm giving my report, he gives the report, he gives the report. You know, ain't gonna catch me type of report.
An agenda?
Huh?
An agenda? Do you have an agenda when you start
No.
the committee?
No,
So you just wing it?
yep,
For all the money you make, you're not gonna do a report?
I can do no reports. I'm done doing reports. 50 years of this bullshit, you know?
I can tell you, none of the committee people did the reports, the other committees. Did you do the personnel or the landfill committee?
No.
Yeah, the purpose, first off, let's start from the beginning. The committee is the committee of the whole here, okay, that's a fact, okay? We're too small of an operation to have a committee, we don't have enough people. You know, have 1 person on the committee because we got more holes than we got people. So the committee is the committee of the whole. You just expect 1 person to have a little more expertise in the area, a little more hands-on expertise, because if you had committee, you'd have doing nothing but going to committee meetings. The committee of the whole, for example, the insurance, that's something of major importance. I think you do once a year, or once every 3 years, as a matter of fact, maybe some adjustments. That's committee of the whole. While we had the improvement to the landfill committee met more often, okay? This is the committee, everybody here.
Well, the executive committee met, and one of the items, one of the bullet points is budget 2014.
Okay,
And that, in the bylaws, is a committee of the whole.
right,
Okay.
and we're about to have the meeting of the committee.
But you've already met, because in the executive director's report, she says you meet every week to mull over the budget.
No,
We'll get to that in.
okay, so we operate the committee of the whole. My opinion, do away the committees, okay? Have the committee of the whole. And that way, anything of major importance goes through the whole board. That's the way I like it. You know,
Well, I think it is going to the board. I mean, you meet, 1 or 2 people meet, and you come back, and it's all discussed through the whole board.
exactly,
I mean, no decision is ever made through a committee.
No.
exactly.
And if there's any questions, yes.
Yeah. All right, whatever, let's get moving. Executive committee. So, the next question is, when would you like to have the budget committee, which is the committee of the whole? You'd like to have it on a Saturday, which is the normal practice. Come in 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock Saturday morning, get some donuts, coffee, roll your sleeves up, and bang away on the, what's your pleasure? It's been submitted the 7th or the 14th. Anybody have any favorites?
The 14th, I'll be at a wedding in Newport, so.
7th works for me.
Say again?
The 7th works for me.
7th works for me, 7th.
7th day for me.
Bad for you, huh? 14th's bad for you. 14th's bad for you. What's the next day?
What time did you talk about anyway?
9 o'clock, I'd say that's 2 hours.
Yes, today.
And basically, you know, we get some bagels and coffee and,
Well, why do we have to do a Saturday? Why do we have to do a
well,
Saturday?
no, it's because that's when we did it, but yeah, we don't do it Saturday. Do it Sunday.
I won't be home until the 16th.
We can do a night, generally a night, no one likes it because this is kind of get a clear head. And I do better in the morning myself, at night, whatever, what's, Ron, 7 is bad for you.
Is that following Monday, the 9th? What I was gonna say, well, when are you check?
When are you back, or what,
We'll get back on the 16th of September.
oh, so you're leaving after the 7th?
Yeah, I think by like the 13th, I think it is.
Oh, Tuesday then?
Tuesday will be back.
Tuesday the 10th?
I have no problem with that. Yeah.
Hold on, what are you saying? I gotta get a haircut. Other than that, I'm okay.
I'll bring my clippers.
Do you want to do it? 10th?
Just during the day?
Well,
You guys decide.
Well, I have planning board meeting that night, but
Ron, how about you? There's a couple of us work.
What time are we talking about?
I don't know, you tell us. Daytime, you do it during the day?
Yeah, I go leave for a couple hours. I'm working that day. It's no problem.
Okay. Tuesday day. We're talking Tuesday the 10th, right, September 10th?
Right.
I got a Board of Construction Appeals meeting that day, but I don't think there's anything scheduled as of yet, so it probably won't happen.
So what time will we say, 9 o'clock? Everybody in, 9 o'clock for the 10th? Oh. My haircut, I can change that. It's 9 o'clock. Everybody in?
9 a.m., September 10th.
I will send out a reminder along with the special notice.
Okay, let me put it next to,
Probably the day before.
It might be a good day.
The day, Ron, at 6 o'clock.
you're gonna send that through, right? I'll change it.
Yep, I will do that.
Okay, so, you're going to have the budget items out beforehand?
Yes, I will. You'll have your
Okay.
spreadsheets ahead of time.
So you'll be forearmed
They are
with
worksheets too.
the worksheets. Will be here, and the general policy is, you all will know, go over line for line for line. We're getting better because, as Debbie said prior, we're getting better correct history, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to what our expenditures were per each section. So is that settled? Okay, so settled. Okay, next, where we at?
Personnel committee.
Personnel committee.
We met on August the 16th. And we talked about the landfill supervisor's position. Debbie fills in how we're going on that right now.
Yep, we have over 55 applicants that we've received. Obviously, a number of those have come in from various sources, most through careerbuilder.com. That was our biggest hit in terms of our job posting. 38 of those applicants have already been screened out. We've identified 15 of them that are likely to move forward with interviews. The first 2 were no-shows, 2 have been completed. We have another one scheduled for tomorrow and 2 more on Thursday. A broad variety of experience, a broad variety of geographic areas, including Ohio and California, have applied for the position. To say we're going to be able to replace Lynn lock, stock, and barrel is an anomaly. It's just not going to happen. But we're going to find the closest and best replacement we possibly can through this process.
So right now, no interviews to take place, and when's it?
We have completed 2, and then there's 1 tomorrow and 2 on Thursday.
So you're interviewing a total of how many?
There's 15 that we've identified.
That's a screening interview.
That's going to screen. Yeah.
So
We're
you,
doing first round with Lynn and
I
Melinda. The
understand.
second round will be Casey and I. And then we're going to bring the top 3 candidates back to the board.
okay, that's the,
Staffing issue, equipment operator attendant, we're in need of. HR coordinator, she's gonna be taking a leave of absence shortly, right?
Another 2 months, we hope. She can hold on that long.
All our summer interns have returned to school. Intern equipment operator completed approved work schedule and left on 14th of August. There's a request for a temporary equipment operator. Want to give us a little bit on that?
Sure. As Ron just said, the temporary equipment operator post that you approved for 11 weeks did end on September 14th. That position has termed. You have in your packet received over the weekend the email from Melinda about the request to reinstate that position because of the likely possibility of 2 other equipment operators that are going out for surgical procedures to be done. And we would like to continue that on a temporary basis for the remainder of the 2013 calendar year. We do have the funding in the budget because we did budget for a half year of Lynn's salary for another landfill supervisor to cross-train. And we probably will not be bringing that person on until 4th quarter.
now this person is going to replace 3 people are potentially going to be out from time to time. That's what you're anticipating.
There's a daily schedule, and on a daily schedule, there is never an entire staff at that landfill. We do work a 6-day shift. Those that work on Saturdays have to take a day off during the week, so we're always shorthanded, at least 1 equipment operator. Now that the interns have gone, there are no additional hands on, and we are still actively working those 2 faces of the landfill, cell 8 and the top of cell 1s through 6 at the same time.
Okay.
So this person would be there when that other person is scheduled off.
I understand.
And also while these other 2, which we hope do not take their medical leave at the same time.
Okay, so we're anticipating 2 people taking medical leave. We don't know for how long, but for some surgical procedures. We have 1 that has been taking off for family situations.
Sporadically, yes.
So this person would fill those vacancies. What do we have for them to do when that problem is?
Should there be a situation where we are able to have everybody on board, which we can't because
Yeah.
somebody's always scheduled off, they will continue the bailing project, and they will also put a significant level of effort into what we call our NJDEP inspectors wish list, which is an active and growing list of projects that we need to stay on top of in a more frequent basis than we have in the past. He visits us every 30 days, and there's been at least 10 to 20 items on his wish list every month.
I think, maybe not this minute, we gotta address that problem. We said last meeting, we gotta confront it.
I'll be discussing that in my report.
Okay, because we've been operating 25 years with no significant notices. All of a sudden we get 10 notices in 10 days. Something going wrong. Either the last inspector was no good, this inspector's no good, or the supervisor's no good. And by the way, tell them to listen to that on the television. But,
Can I comment on that?
no,
Okay.
it's not part of the meeting. But we have to confront the issue. Maybe we should have a meeting, once you get everything together, have a meeting specifically for that.
I have
Of the committee of the whole.
It'll be coming up later, but I thought the response was on point, that you'll get a response from the response sometime soon, I would hope.
I've already made 2 calls.
But finance officer, full-time position posted,
Yeah, I need to
Where?
get that to you now that our email's back up and running, and we can
that's
get
going down
that.
tomorrow.
Huh?
When does it go down?
It doesn't go down, we'll keep it up.
Okay, I thought it was something that end of this week is going down for 2 days.
Oh, our network.
Okay.
We also went over some of the policy and procedures, and Bob had a couple good comments on them, he was there. So they're almost done, and they're gonna get the hard copy out. So everybody should review that copy, if you have any changes, make sure we bring them back, we get them in before we send out the final copy of that. And we have.
We'll give you a timeline on when that will be.
Okay.
That's a compilation of existing items and some adjustments to it, right?
Significant changes, yes.
And the JIP does not require any,
They do not, but
because
It's
the
good
utilities
protocol.
already did.
it's good protocol every 2 years, as we used to keep them updated.
They just have to have a policy on paper cuts.
Okay. Anything else in the personnel?
That was a self-explanatory, yeah.
Okay, economic development, we're in the process of getting our final plan together. It's probably like a 30-day window, Debbie, would you say?
Yeah, but like Jim indicated, we'll be meeting with Phil early next week. You know, all the input's already
Focus
formulated.
groups are complete.
Mhm. So the heavy lifting is done. It's now polishing it up and making sure we're in a good draft.
Okay, solid waste committee,
We got 3 pages of items we talked about. The 2 main items were the inspector and the tanks, the leachate tanks we were talking about. The inspector is, Nancy brought it up. A lot of the violations are in our permit, we're allowed to do it, and he didn't read it. So he's obviously not playing with a full deck, or he's got some screws missing. So I wouldn't, take any.
Do we point them out before he leaves to him?
Well, no. He tells us, and then we address them to make sure we got all our ducks in order. And he's saying that we can't do this and that, and it's in our permit that we can do it,
so the written report, the written notification he gave to us, we have answered,
Yes.
okay? So where we are there, we're waiting for,
A meeting to be scheduled with him and the supervisor.
well, his reply, I would assume we're looking for,
I think we'll get the meeting first.
whatever. Right now, it's on their table.
Yes,
Well, you set it up for the affirmative defense also. and-
yes.
Which you need to do.
So we get that moving.
So unless anybody's got any questions on the three pages of stuff that we talked about, it was a long meeting, but very productive. And I want to commend Debbie on how she's got it all organized, and our engineers there, full of information, thank you very much. We appreciate all your information, and the meeting's very knowledgeable and gets everything done.
Okay. Innovation technology,
Well, again, I was not here last month, and Debbie had called me for a date that I could go to a meeting. I gave her the date, but apparently that didn't work out. So I was up there, and I really, what she's telling me, I would defer to you, because I was not here.
We're gonna
So we're-
reschedule the meeting for
when
September,
is it going to be working? That's
Wednesday afternoon. As we conclude the operation of this facility, we will be doing an overnight backup of everything at the solid waste and economic development divisions, both at the FinLaw and here. Thursday, we will be migrating. Our access to email and internet will be very sporadic through Thursday. By noon on Friday, we will be into our new system. If we do run into any issues whatsoever, by noon of Friday, we will fall back to our existing network. But we've had numerous conversations with everybody that has their hands on the touch points of this, including the college. From the testing that we did on the 18th, everything looks to be an absolute green light and a go.
I did see also that we're perhaps going to join with the community college in a phone system, which may save us a few dollars.
Yeah, we haven't brought that forward for any discussion yet. That Community College just purchased a voice over IP phone system that is just now being installed. And one of their questions was, hey, we've got the phone system, might you guys be interested? And I said, well, let's do the computer network first, but let's talk about that as a possible solution too. It would allow 4-digit dialing between here and the landfill.
Okay, okay, now we're talking about standing committees. I had an idea, I talked over with Debbie. One of the areas that we're lacking in putting some effort into is alternate energy. We've been kind of letting that slide. Alternate energy is up in the air with the shale gas coming on board. But Bob, would you be interested in serving on that committee?
Yeah, what do you have in mind? You won't get the shale gas here.
Say again?
You won't get shale gas in South Jersey.
No, you don't know about that, but I don't know. I'm saying that puts a different complexion on alternate energy. In other words, 2 years ago, before we overheard the shale gas phrase, we were looking at sun power, windmills, a million things. We have a lot of this stuff on the table that is not being attended to. We have a plan, a county plan that with solar panels. We have a plan with some offering it to school boards and townships.
That's all up in the economic development report, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, but it's not being properly attended to. So every time we, we have nobody on board that has the knowledge in that area. And so the question is, would you be willing to?
Yes, if that's what.
And you don't have to write a report. If you want to, you could. But if you want,
I actually did want a report from him.
huh?
I would probably have one.
Because we got scraps of.
Yeah, I don't know what you have, what you can really do, but I'll look at it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You have a
if there's
landfill.
nothing to do, the report would be, there's nothing to do. Then we say, well, let's clear it out of our files and forget about it.
You have a big mound that you can't put solar panels on. You do
Yeah.
have the gas that
Yeah.
you use. That's
Perhaps or perhaps not. We have, you say shale gas, there's a proposal on the books right now to put one right down at Carney's Point, at the power station,
For what?
run it with gas.
Oh, yeah, you can get gas, but you're not gonna create your own gas here.
Oh,
Other than your methane.
I mean, all that drilling
Well,
I'm
shale
doing is for
gas.
naught? All that drilling I'm doing is for naught?
If you're in South Jersey drilling, yes.
So you're willing to,
Yeah, I'll look at it.
okay, good.
I think what you're doing with the methane is probably where you're going to go.
Well, okay, now, what we're talking about, the whole concept of solar energy in the county, that's one. Windmills, who knows? Methane, obviously, on our own site. Solar energy, because we have reports which Debbie will provide you with, studies where we would put solar energy, or solar panels in each township, building, perhaps schools. I think we had some, we're doing it over here. Mannington. So we have all these things that are laying in limbo. One of the problems is the grid, like I say, electric.
You're a few years late for that, but
I understand, but the point is, we need to get it together and say, cross that off our list, because ain't no hope, or yeah, there's hope, but 3 years down the line, we don't know. It's all over the place. So we should get it so we understand it. Because the potential's there, I guess, we haven't done it, so we need to do that.
yeah, if you have the money, we can spend it.
We got a few dollars, let's go.
Okay, so where are we at? Executive Director's report, please.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Couple things. In your packet, before I do my executive director's report, you have a report from Fulton Financial. That's their investment policy that goes along with you. It's in the very front of your binder. That goes with, in advance of all of the investments they provide to us once a year. You also have the PSE&G safety calendar in your packet, and you also have the second quarter statement of revenue and expenses for all line items in all divisions. For the nursing home, our next state health benefit payment for the retirees will be due September 10th. That bill will be pulled off of the online system September 1st and sent over to the county. We've already talked about the August 10th payments. We had finalized the Medicare cutovers so that we could deal with this last open of old business. And unbeknownst to us, last Thursday we had a package delivered from none other than the Salem County Nursing Home. And in that package were 2 boxes of patient Medicare adjustments. We are verifying right now through a random audit that those indeed have been posted to our quick care system. It does at this point appear that they have been, so they may just have been alternate or backup copies. But these are patient explanation of benefit statements for all the Medicare pieces. I did not want to bring that issue forward to you until we were sure that we had the numbers that were correct in our system. We have been in touch with the administrator at the facility to determine where these 2 boxes were located, because we did do a walk down of that facility. They had not identified exactly where they were found, but they were not there when we did the walk down. Solid Waste Division, daily operations, you have the division manager and engineers report. We do have a 2013 capital budget amendment that will be needed to be done today in order to certify the funds for the leachate tank. I underestimated the budget on that project based on what bids we had received in the 2008 sale number 8 project.
That's really 1.2 million, right?
Yes, we budgeted 1.2, I'm sorry, not 1.4, and the bid came in at 1.86 and change. The vertical expansion, that existing cells on the top of the landfill are getting smaller and smaller in terms of a footprint. And I would say probably in the next couple months, we will be here discussing the possible temporary closure of that existing top of the landfill and possibly locating a new rain tarp on top of that. Regulatory, there has been no further action on the administrative order and civil administrative penalty for the October 2011 odor issue. As noted in Melinda's report, the inspector that we had an appointment with was a no-call, no-show on that day. So we are in the process of following up with her to determine when she'll be back on site so we can close out that issue. The NOV dated 7/22, which was received and presented to the board. Our response has been filed and was in your meeting packets. We also conferred with several entities in regards to the best way to handle this particular inspector. It is with some advice and guidance that we not become confrontational with him while he is on site. It is fair for us to ask a lot of questions or to point out things that he might not necessarily understand, but it would not be in our best interest to confront him while he's there. Allow him to give you the information, point out where he might be wrong, and then be sure to copy everybody and their brother at the DEP, including his boss and the division manager or the division director, on the responses. We need to make sure we're doing our homework, but we also need to make sure we're running our operations in conformance with our permits. And if our permit's not entirely correct or not entirely comprehensive in the way that we're managing our facility, there may be a need for us to modify a small provision within our permit, particularly as it relates to our laydown area for our recycling materials. We do have an issue pending with Gateway Business Park and the biennial inspection of land out there. We are waiting on a response from the county on that issue. We did bring that out in April, responded and followed back up in July, and the last response we had from the administrator's office was they are in the process of trying to get an answer for us, but we do have staff and funding committed to that, which we need to know, Freeholder Cross, if you could, know if we can find out about them doing that biennial certification shortly. We want to get that scheduled.
Is that biennial?
Biennial, every other year.
I think the response back was last week from Administrator Ford was they're awaiting
They're still
a
working
response
on it.
back from maybe either Jeff Ridgway or some other folks that maybe had some direct hand in that agreement.
Needs to be done before freeze sets in, because we have to do soil sampling out there.
Before what?
Before the freeze. The regional sewer project, there's been no formal work group action, although Freeholder Cross, there is a response in the front of your packet and also in everybody's correspondence, tab number 10, regarding the inquiry made on the Bach Associate letters that were sent out to municipal entities here in Salem County. Those letters, as confirmed by the principal of that firm, were sent in error to Salem County and were not intended for Gloucester County, where they're actually doing some survey work on an unrelated project. They did print letters of retraction, which were also provided to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And this topic is identified in my monthly report every month, and we do address it at the end.
Yeah, and then because of that, Mr. Chair, if I may, because of that letter, I was like, anything like dedicated, like just the regional wastewater. That letter that was sent out initially by Bach stirred up a lot of comment and question, obviously, within the respective
After having read it,
municipalities.
I can understand why.
Yeah, I mean, not just like a cursory, like, okay, well, nothing progressed with the regional thing. I was talking about like a dedicated thing.
On the technology, I let you know that August 28th through 30th, we'll be doing our final network migration. We will be posting a notice on the website, and the website should be still active for other people to see. That is not hosted on our direct network. But we will be posting a notice there that we'll be having email and intermittent send and receive issues throughout those 2 days. For anyone who wants to visit us, they'll need to fax or call us. Other matters, on the audit, we did have 2 variances I want to bring to the board's attention. They were very small variances that we corrected. The SLT payment for April 2013 was not paid in its entirety. There was an adjustment that was made, and that resulted in a $16 late fee. Okay. And then the EFT payments for both BALC and pension for January to June were on this bill list, and they will be on every bill list from here on out. Those have traditionally just been paid online without being brought forward because they are reoccurring payments. But we're putting them on the bill list as a reoccurring payment for you electronically. Budget 2014, the internal staff has pretty much concluded our work on the budget. There's only a few line items that we're still working to nail down that will be done this week. In terms of briefing, it is our intent, as you know, now to bring this draft to the full board for the discussion. In the past, we've done a line-by-line review within each division to let you know where the changes are, what significant variances we expect, and discuss plans for the coming year. And you see some cost drivers in terms of the state health benefit expenses, and we also discussed the insurance renewal already today. I won't belabor anything further on the human resources side of things. Suffice to say, we're working busy with the landfill supervisor search and the interview process. And at the last employee meeting, all the employees received emergency reporting procedures in anticipation of the upcoming hurricane season and snow season, so that we're all ready for those wonderful emergencies. We did spend 1 staff hour fulfilling 1 OPA request that was not directed for us, but we pointed them in the right direction to get the information they needed, which was the Borough of Pensgrove. And we do have several OPA requests pending for the award of the leachate tank project. I have a series of meetings there. We will do a special public notice for the September 10th budget meeting. Your next board meeting is September 23rd. And we do have a safety luncheon scheduled for Wednesday of this week. Any questions?
Yes. On technology, you acquired ownership of SCIA NJ, I hope. Says it just at SCIA.com.
I got a question. You said at the beginning that you're sending money to the county, right? In the beginning of your report.
In which line item?
Nursing.
20, was it 20-some thousand you're sending to the county?
The $20,000, no, that's an invoice that we sent to the county for bond administration fees. The money that we will send over to the county for 5% of the
Okay.
surplus revenue comes
Yes.
later this year in
Well,
October.
then I want to make a motion that we talk to our auditor about just deducting the money that's owed to us from the county, from that money, so we can cut out this craziness.
Well, I wrote myself some notes here. Mr. Freeholder, here's our problem. There's $20,000 in annual bond administration fees that we've invoiced the county continuously. It wouldn't be too bad if they said, stick it in your ear. They don't even respond, okay? Do they intend paying it? Are you aware, well, first of all, I guess, are you aware of it not being paid?
not necessarily aware that it hasn't been paid, as far as coming across the bill list, but I know that it's become formal that, hey, everything was taken care of. Letter from Ms. Fox, or Turner Fox, saying that everything was taken care of. She appreciated everybody's input in getting that resolved. Other than that, I can take your concern back.
Okay. So,
I'll take your concern back, and we'll,
okay, yeah, I mean, but
it's a new issue.
forget about, couldn't you get someone that sends a letter back, say, yeah, we got it, and stick it in their ear? Or, yeah, we got it, it's on our agenda, we're all broke right now, we're gonna pay at the end of the month.
Right.
I mean, that way we can put off our agenda, we know it's coming or not coming, okay? Secondly, well, with that, we already mentioned the 15,000 a month is always late. And we paid on time to the state. You know, if we didn't, I'm told that the people wouldn't collect their benefits. That'd be a hell of a thing if we said, just put it off. We didn't do that. So why don't the county pay us on time? You know, a couple days later, I said, a month, yeah.
And I think, and Mr. Chair, not to interrupt, if I think Ms. Fox, maybe turn Fox again, I apologize. Could you, on the months that we don't meet once, from the best of my ability and from my knowledge, it has gotten closer to 14th, 15th, it's paid. Because we have a meeting in the first week of the month, and then the bills are approved.
This is an
and then-
unusual month.
Right.
August not being paid now, send up
Right.
a little bit of a red flag, because you usually do pay it the
Right.
third of the month.
And this
third.
was just because of the way the Wednesday, the first of the month started on a Thursday, so that the 21st was our first meeting, which is very late in the month.
So it's basically a 35-day cycle is what we,
Yeah, so I mean, and again, I've raised these issues to our new CFO and everything else, saying, why can't, these stuff was budgeted. And I think with the first meeting, when we have a first meeting, which is 9 months of the year, I think, well, we even have one in June, I think it's been getting close to like, I'm not saying it's paid by the 10th, which is saying, not saying that's right, but it's paid by like the 14th, 15th, and it's done. It's not a situation that we have in August.
It seems logical to put out I mean, it's a nuisance to us. You put it on a month ahead and get it approved a month ahead.
Well, I'm not sure that any CFO does that, and proper accounting and everything else, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the track record here would warrant, that is proper procedure, but I will take your concern back.
And it is acceptable procedure, because I asked the auditor.
As per,
He said, yeah.
I'll write down, Mr. Boyer,
I mean,
or
I used to do it regularly, because that way I don't worry about it anymore.
I'll write down that you said it's okay.
You know, we just make sure it was paid and, okay. The audit, the county audit's not in now. We got a notice of default, that,
Are we still in the report?
We're still in
no, I'm
discussion.
reading from the things, the problem, having the county took this opportunity to know. The audit, we got notice of default, which affects not our bond rating, but your bond rating. Do you know when,
A notice of
we got to answer to the trustee, we're just gonna say, we don't know, call them,
A notice of default for?
failing to have the audit as per the bond covenant.
And that
That's
is
right.
that is an audit for the bond that we just,
No,
it's
Refinance?
actually, no, this
Or is
is
it-
the standing bond for the correctional facility, so it's not just the rebonding.
okay.
July 15th, the public entities, both audits are due.
Okay.
And they have to be filed with the electronic something management associates online
Okay.
by August 15th. And if that does not occur, then there is a notice of default, which does affect, or potentially affect, I guess,
the bond rating.
our ability to continue to issue bonds, but the bond rating for the county.
Okay, so August 15th, there was a deadline at that, the one that was in place when the correctional facility was initiated.
Originally, yes.
That agreement, there's, part of that stipulation is something will be posted by it.
No, that's not correct.
And I sent that to Katie too. I believe that's for all bonds, so
Okay.
not just ours.
Because you have outstanding bonds with us and probably elsewhere, it's required that your audit be filed by August 15th with the central reporting agency. What's that called?
EMMA, EMMA.
Yeah, something, I don't know what it is, but you're supposed to do that, and if you don't, it's a technical default. In theory, they just call your bond, I guess. I doubt that would happen, but the point is, if you could just answer us, and we could send a letter to them, say, here's the answer we got from the county. And we've done our duty, we can't make a duty audit, we can't do the audit for you, but we can ask you, and you tell us, and we send a letter to them, say, we've inquired with the county, they, you copied their letter, they said this. So we get that done, it's another nuisance software back. And then the Gateway Business Park biennial certification, that's a nuisance. We requested April 26th, right? That was our first request. I know it was in the spring, I don't recall when. But that's my note is spring. What was it, April?
It was April. Before we started.
So these, yeah, we just get rid of these pain in the
Well, I
neck.
believe, and I want to say that one with the biennial agreement, and I know that I saw the email with Everin responding back, and I believe that was in the hands of council. So council was reviewing it, saying that just for our own good, new council, everything else, if we're even responsible for it. So, you know, has to look back in the history of things and the agreement going all the way back. And it's not something that we just assume that, hey, we're, you know, because the agreement was in place or whatever, somebody said that you had to do it. So I think he's looking for formal
That had to
documentation.
do with wetlands.
No, it's like
Yeah, it's something about
pesticide.
cap or,
Oh,
Pesticide
right, the.
contaminated
Right.
soils.
Contaminated soil, hold on. Yeah.
so I believe that's where that
There
was
was
at.
another
I'll check
one.
with that one also.
There was another one with the wetlands, but that's done, right?
Yes, and that was, the mitigation area was already.
Right, yeah, so that's all done.
April, May, June, July,
Okay,
August,
but I mean,
September.
and again,
Let's see how it's going.
from my standpoint, I hear this all the time, I said, you know, somebody take the nickel and dime, maybe not nickel and dime, but it's stuff that, somebody just send a letter back, saying, we're working on it. We'll get it to you, we're working, you know, we only get, you know, the courtesy of a reply. That's what gets me. People ask me stuff, I tell them, I ain't paying. You know, it's at least, you know where you stand.
Right.
Okay, so I got that stuff. Well, it's okay, where we at? New business.
So, executive director's report. We're still
Oh, I'm sorry.
talking about that. I was going to talk about the amendment to solid waste management plan for flow control. It sounds like the SWAC approved it and they issued minutes maybe that.
Didn't say that SWAC approved it. There are SWAC
Well,
minutes.
they have to, don't they?
That there are SWAC minutes we just received from Alway Township, the action that they were required to make within a 60-day period following the SWAC meeting. That was received on Friday, was added to the correspondence where they presided a resolution of support.
But
Now the minutes and the resolution.
Because of the host community?
Yeah, because of the host community, they're required to take some action. Now the minutes and that resolution will be sent back to SWAC and then on to the freeholders as part of the report.
Okay, it sounds like it's approved, and it's going to be sent to the freeholders for approval?
Well, the amendment, it's not an approval issue, it's a record of the meeting that was held and the minutes that were held and the action that was taken by Alloway and the action that was taken by this board.
Do the
It's-
minutes reflect that the majority of the SWAC members were not in favor of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a recording, if you remember, we recorded the minute.
Yeah,
the meeting.
I
It's
know.
not
A
an
recording of
approval
it.
process, it's a recommendation and comment process.
To change your management?
From the SWAC. From the SWAC. The SWAC doesn't say you're approved, you're not approved, they just provide their recommendations and comments.
But if they're negative,
Then the freeholders are made aware of that through the minutes.
Yeah, I would assume it's gonna be a fairly comprehensive report of what was said there.
I think that's why we took.
I'm bringing it up because Pittsgrove's the only one that is affected by it. You know, we go to Cumberland County and,
Actually, everybody would potentially be affected by it. There are other communities who there's seepage with.
well, the negative comments at the meeting were not so much that they were in favor of flow control or not, they didn't want to lose their control. And which is a big.
Yeah, but what wasn't put out there, maybe it wasn't a complete meeting, it affects everyone, okay? For example, I can give you,
We've heard the examples.
pardon?
We've heard the examples every.
I don't think you heard my example. If not, I'm gonna say it again. A good example is waste management. Pick them out, what I read in the only name I remember, could come in and bid on 3 towns. Penn's Grove, Carnage Point, and wherever, elsewhere, okay? And they won the bid on all three, and they say, we're gonna start hauling our trash to Groves. I don't know how many-
And they can. Flow
And they
control
can.
does not affect that.
Exactly. But Elmer's bill is gonna go sky high, because then this authority would have to raise their rates dramatically to cover that loss of business.
I think they're waste management.
Pardon?
I think Elmer's waste management, and they go to Cumberland.
Well, they might, okay, I'll rephrase it. It was Elmer, and then in the meantime, Elsinburg has to pay more. But that's the point. Once you, we have a very peculiar thing. I never in favor of waste flow or flow management or whatever we call it. So we're an island here now. That's our only defense. Okay, so if that happens, then the county got an albatross. You know, right now, this is an asset, okay? If that happens, it'll be an albatross, because me and you, I don't even take my trash to the county. I take mine elsewhere, okay? I'll be paying it on my taxes. I'm a goodly taxpayer in Salem County. I rank among one of the higher ones, by the way, okay? So it will affect me in spades. So the point is, that's what's missing in the equation. It was not clearly stated at that meeting. That's my opinion.
That's the meeting, though. That's what you go by as the meeting.
No, that's not true. That's what,
But you're presenting to the SPAC your case. And if you
I
don't present a
understand.
good case,
No,
then that's not.
the case is being made to the freeholders, okay? That's SWAC presenting their case to the freeholders. Anyone can present their case to the freeholders. That's my case to the freeholders, okay? You have your opinion, you've got your opinion, okay? And I'm sure when it comes up, there'll be a lot of opinions. But that's my opinion, I'll articulate it.
As long as the freeholders are aware that the majority of the people at the SPAC meeting were not in favor of it.
Oh, certainly. No question about that. We didn't have to have a meeting we just saved the meeting and wrote that down.
And not only
Okay.
this, if we lose a few towns to raise the price, all the private people are gonna go because we're gonna charge them too much. And that's gonna be the real boom.
Correct. That's the point. Well, whatever, that's for another time. Okay, where we at? Resolution to amend the adopted 2013 capital budget having to do with the leachate tank, and that's behind tab number 9.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Moving to second, any question on the motion?
Oh, I got a lot of questions on this one. Originally 1.2, now we're 800,000 more, $2 million. Let me go back up a little bit. The leachate, we store it, but we have holidays, we have lots of rain, we have other issues, and at some point we can't store enough leachate. Is that why we're looking for this tank?
With the expansion of the landfill for the next 25 years, you're basically going to, in simple terms, double the size of the landfill. The existing landfill will continue to produce leachate, albeit, at a bell-shaped curve. The new landfill is going to continue to produce an increasing amount of leachate. Our 250,000 gallon tank, even right now with the existing hill without any expansion, is undersized. We are hauling out of there at least 6 days a week. You see the rain flows, and I believe our peak was 22 loads per day. We can't get enough out of that tank. We need to be able to
I mean,
free
for
hold
$2 million, I can hire a lot of trucks and $2 million is a lot of money to put a tank in the ground. And this is, and a lot of them were even more money, you're telling me. 1.2 is the number you got from a couple years ago?
No, let me be very clear. When we bid the cell number 8 project, we included an alternate for the leachate tank as part of that. It was 3 phases, cell 8, cell 9, and the leachate tank. The tank costs alone from the vendors were 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. The tank alone. The actual price for all of the labor to install and do the concrete was more than that. It was closer to 1.7 million. I did not budget enough in the capital for that tank. We put the price of the tank in there. not the additional cost.
Installation fund.
So where's the 800,000 coming from?
That will come out of our closure, post-closure, non-DEP escrow. This is a legitimate closure, post-closure activity. If we did not have a non-DEP fund reserve, it could be applied for through the DEP to use our reserve funds. This board has set aside reserve funds for the non-DEP escrows. We have several CDs, and we also have a reserve fund with the Cash Reserve Management Fund that you entered into with Fulton Bank earlier this year. And so we do have ample funding in those CDs.
Let me interject. The reason we didn't do it originally, because we didn't know what our revenue was. As you recall,
It was a tough year.
tough year. So we said, what should we do? Do it now? And we said, we don't know what our revenue is going to be next year. We were in a gray area. So we said, let's take a shot and not do it. If we don't grow the landfill, we won't need it. If we grow the landfill, we'll have the revenue to pay for it. That was, I think it was said almost in those words, as I recall. If we have the revenue, well, tell you the truth, I'm with you. The biggest damn waste of money it could be, put that thing in there. I don't know a way around it though. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask our engineer, can you give us 30 seconds on why? Remember I asked the question?
Sure.
Tell me how I cannot buy a tank.
You can't. It's part of your permit. You have to build at least a second 200,000 gallon tank.
In order to have
In
the
addition-
cell, I have to have the tank you're telling me.
Correct. We looked at it when we got started this whole process with the expansion, and it was our recommendation that you go with a larger tank in order to prevent a lot of the issues you have today. You're physically, the way it's designed now, you're physically limited in how many trucks you can get in and out of there in a day. Part of this design also does a lot to fix that problem. It has a pull-through design so the trucks can get loaded, and get out quicker instead of what they have to do now, which is pull in, do a K-turn, back in, fill up, pull out again. You'll also be able to load 2 trucks at a time. And we're going to keep the existing loading spot as a backup just in case.
So that means that we could eliminate the Saturday, more than likely eliminate
More
the
than
Saturday
likely.
haul.
Again, a lot of it depends on rainfall.
Barring,
Yeah, and what you do
Thomas.
now that a lot of landfills do that isn't necessarily the best thing is that when you fill the tank up, you've got to shut off the leachate system, so it backs up in the landfill. And that's not what you're supposed to do with it. You're supposed to be able to get it out of there as reasonably quickly as you can.
and the minimum one we could have built, and we asked this question,
Right,
we posed this question when we decided this, was, what's this one?
200,000
Right,
was the minimum, this is 500,000.
right. So we said, tell us what it costs for 200,000, tell us what it costs for
Right.
500,000, and the difference was not that great.
Yeah, it
We all
wasn't
know about
that
pipes.
significant,
I
right.
learned that
So
when I was 16, and this pipe holds 10 times more than that pipe, whatever, you
Even
know.
though we're adding 500,000 gallons, we're gonna all but abandon the original quarter billion?
No, I think it's 200,000.
200,000, okay.
No, you're not gonna abandon it. It's still gonna be there for use, and the way the system is designed, it's designed so that you can fill them concurrently or alternately. However you want best.
They're gravity filled?
Pardon me?
They're gravity filled?
No, they're pumped.
What, they might, oh, you're pumping into the same line that you're
Right.
putting up. And the new one has a different piping arrangement.
Right.
And Lou, we do need to replace, I think you've heard Lou talk about the stainless steel valve that needs to be replaced. It's our plan that when this new tank comes online, we will drain the existing tank, do as much of an inspection as we need to at this point in time, because there's required frequencies for inspections, and replace that flange as well. We would use both tanks, even facilities, other landfills that are doing on-site treatment, and you can look as close as our neighbors in Cumberland and as far away as, Mercer, have millions of gallons. They have bigger landfills than we have, millions of gallons of storage capacity, even if they're treating on site, because they need to freeboard that material. They need to be able to make sure they can consistently put a flow through their processes. So if we're at the cusp of looking at any on-site treatment, we need to be able to do that. We can't put a shot through the system and hope that everything we're gonna do is gonna.
I think where I'm distraught about this is we just spent $250,000 to put a raincoat on this thing to get the leachate down, and the leachate has gone up. After spending $250,000, and now we're gonna get $2 million.
Largely because you opened a new
I get
2.5
it.
acre cell
We
that
got surface area. I get
also
it.
takes all the runoff from a large portion of the existing landfill.
So the raincoat.
And you're only gonna
which-
get more leachate, so.
Right, the raincoat is actually putting some drain into the new system for a while.
There's no way to divert that half that, this side's going away, I get that, this side's going into the cell. No way to divert that water? I just.
Not efficiently. I mean, as you fill that cell, it'll eventually be diverted, but right now, it's all flowing down the side slab.
Now, answer me this, when we're all out of here and not concerned about it, it might be underground, okay? That leachate tank will be needed for years to come.
Yes,
Even after the landfill closes.
yes.
So, that's the reason that we can take the money out of the closure fund, which we.
Yeah, it's also an environmental improvement.
I understand.
You're allowed to use it for closure and environmental improvement.
Right, I understand.
What's it made of?
It is a glass-lined steel tank,
Double walled tank.
double wall.
No, there was some talk about going to see Cumberland's reverse osmosis treatment. Is that scheduled or?
It has not been scheduled yet. It is still being scheduled.
Well, by the way, that's what I wanted to bring up. We don't know, we thought we had an alternative to take the leachate down the street to Salem City. Who knows, we don't know if that's closed to us. But those alternatives with more storage could become open to us. For example, Cumberland, we could possibly take it there. They made an offer to us a year or two ago, once they got their thing operating, that we could possibly take our stuff there. So the more storage you have, the more those opportunities will open up. Right now, we have no alternative, which is a bad situation to be in, by the way. An alternative, we take it over to Delcora. It seems to me we should have an alternative, and to my way of thinking, Salem City was the most logical alternative. I don't know. Let's see.
Okay.
But definitely Cumberland County, assuming is it working?
Yeah.
So it
They're
is
very
working.
pleased with it. They're still in what I would consider, I guess, their demonstration testing.
Yeah, they're
about
still
whether
in their
it can discharge
shakedown, but
to
So they
groundwater.
couldn't consider us just yet.
Not yet, no. But
Well,
they
we
haven't
should-
trucked leachate off-site since February.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's an operation that we could probably do here, and that's.
well, you know,
Right sized tanks.
3 years
What's the
ago,
tank? What's the tank? I mean, it's-
3 years ago, I talked to some
Some
people.
groundwater discharge.
3 years ago, I talked to some people about this. One amongst here, just people I know in the business, and they said we don't have enough volume to pay for the initial cost and the unit cost. The unit cost, you're going to find out, okay? I'll bet this, that the unit cost at Cumberland is going to be higher than our cost carrying it to Delcora.
Well, you budgeted $500,000 to transfer it to Hall.
I understand that. But the point is, I think, my opinion, okay? My opinion is that their cost down there is going to be more than our cost there, okay? The only thing that will bring their cost down is more volume. And who has the volume? I think it's called us, okay? So it could be a marriage made in heaven, so we could give them the volume to bring their unit cost down. Who knows? I don't know that. But I suspect that could happen. It's too early to tell. But osmosis systems are very expensive.
Yeah, you size it for your flow.
Yeah, but the smaller they are, the more it costs per unit. You still need an operator, whether you're doing 10 gallon or 10 million gallon. Yeah, I've been through it. Nothing to do with landfills, but in treatment plants for domestic sewage, I know the number's high. And I assume that they're the same as landfills, but whatever.
There's not many domestic treatment plants that use it. But there's not many domestic treatment sewer plants that use it, and none that you would be aware of.
I am aware of it in California, okay?
Let's move
For
the
water,
motion,
for water.
All right, motion, I move in second.
and then it's a roll call vote.
Okay, what is this?
The tank.
That's the budget. Transfer
No, this is
budget.
the,
The budget amendment.
to amend the adopted capital budget. So do we,
For the tank?
well, obviously. So do we have a motion?
Yep.
Motion to move carried.
Okay. Move to second.
Roll call.
Any more
And
discussion?
you're telling me we have to have a tank?
Yes.
Okay.
Move to second. No more discussion. Roll call vote, please.
John Eber,
Yes.
Ron Howard.
Yes.
Pete Rose.
Yes.
Bob Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes.
Do.
Okay. Next on the agenda.
Warning contract.
What number are we up to?
66.
66. Resolution awarding a contract for leachate tank number 2 for the SCIA Solid Waste Division landfill. Give us a couple minutes, seconds.
Yes, we opened the bids on August 15th. Before you are all of the respondents that provided responses to our bid. The lowest bidder after evaluation by the engineer, my office, and our solicitor, and that met the compliance requirements of the bid is 1.63 to TKT Construction out of Williamstown, New Jersey. They are someone we have not done business with. They are someone who does a lot of work in utility lines of work and are very familiar with tanks. So you'll see them apparently with sewage and water authorities. And you do have the engineer's evaluation as well.
So we had the engineer's evaluation, we had our attorney's evaluation, everything in order legally.
Yeah, no problem.
You can see.
Motion approved.
Second.
Move to second. Any question on the motion? Hearing no question, move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, you gotta suck it up sometimes. I know.
I said aye.
You know, I had trouble sucking it up. You know, I had trouble sucking it up for 2 years, yeah?
How much is the Elmer water tank worth?
Where are we at? Oh,
66.
Lost.
Mr. Chairman, your next resolution is the resolution to amend the 2013 Solid Waste Division budget for the Clean Communities Grant.
Oh, yeah,
In
that's
anticipation.
a pleasure.
Yeah, this is a delightful surprise.
right.
We did receive word earlier this year that we could expect the same level of funding as in prior years, which was $93,000. And when the check came, it included an additional $15,414.06. So at the advice of auditor, we must amend our budget so that we can expend these additional dollars before the end of this year.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You didn't send it back?
No.
You didn't call up and say I made a mistake? No. Okay, moved to second. Roll call vote. Yes, okay, roll call.
John Eber,
Yes.
Ron Howard.
Yes.
Pete Rose.
Yes.
Bob Whitfield.
Yes.
Maurice Smith.
Yes.
Okay, where are we at?
We can spend it.
We already did the next resolution.
Yeah, the next
Yeah.
3 you may skip over, they were the ones for the joint rate.
Void checks, I like that one. Where's that at?
Mr. Chairman, we have a resolution to void and cancel a check from 2010 in the amount of $930, which had been made payable to Richard Olimo Associates. This was a check that has been on our books for quite some time, and we have confirmed that the expenditure was satisfied with another check, and this one needs to be voided.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Move to second. Any question on the motion? Hearing none. Move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, next. Where are we at?
Next item is a request from the Solid Waste Division to reinstitute the temporary equipment operator's position for the remainder of the calendar year through December 31st at the existing rate of $16 per hour. The second item in there is the individual that had previously filled this position and obviously is no longer working for us. However, should he still be available, we would like to offer the position to him. And if not, then we will go out and conduct a search for another equipment operator.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Question on the motion?
So there's no benefits?
No benefits.
Okay, and this is, the answer to the question I'm gonna ask is what you answered
Previously.
an hour ago.
Yes.
Or whatever it was. Okay.